2 years plus. I think what Chris is saying is a very valid point, and I would agree with it wholeheartedly. I think I've heard the purest form of democracy, as Joe said, but I think it's outdone its existence given the time. It's not like it was back in the day when this was first conceived. I think that nowadays you get the most bang for your buck, if you will, having people come out on Tuesdays when you can get them there to vote for everything up or down. If you have opinions on things, you go to the meetings. You participate in the budget process, you come to the meetings. If you have a yay or a nay on something that you don't want to do or you do want to do, that's when you put your opinion in, when they're making and creating the budget. It usually doesn't happen on the floor of town meeting. That usually, you go, you vote. Some people might vote or give their opinions on it, and it may not be heard in all cases. So I think that once upon a time it really was a good thing. Now, not so sure, but I would support a push towards SP2.
I also agree. I think that we have an opportunity to go to all these meetings. I agree with Chris. We can have all the time to go to these meetings and discuss what we want to discuss. We have an opportunity to raise our hands, have a say, and get the vote done, and then move on. The voters don't understand always, like, when we're done voting. When I first moved here to Londonderry 9 years ago, I had no idea that there was a Saturday vote. I thought when I voted, that was it. And so I'd support changing it.
Thank you. Next question, please.
New feet. Good evening, and thank you all. Like Mike said, we appreciate as many people we can get into this fray as we can. It's better off we all. Just to follow up on the whole SB2 question, what would you do to get people more involved, show up at those Monday night meetings? My colleague Steve and I sit on the school board, and we beg for people to show up and tell us what they're thinking. How would you go about doing that so that we can get the right number of people? 16,000 registered voters will probably, if we break 3,000 in March, I'd be ecstatic, frankly, because I don't think we're going to come near the 16,000 that are registered in the community. So how would you go about doing that and getting more people involved?
Thank you. Right, no problem. I really think it needs to be publicized very heavily in the newspapers, especially. I think that we have to be mindful of, as counselors, we have to be mindful of the fact that when we are on TV, that we can actually continue to press that issue and say, I've heard actually Mike dozens of times when I was on the budgeting committee saying, we want more people's input. We want to hear from people, so please continue to come around. And when you're going to the senior center and when you're going around Londonderry and you're talking in the schools and you're talking at the sports, promote that. Bring people in, people that invite them, start to do an email going around, letting people know to remind them, maybe just even a link to the calendar for the town. So, but you're right, we definitely need to try to think out of the box and be innovative to bring more people to town meeting.
I agree, you need to bring more people to the town meeting. Maybe we could give out free donuts at the polling place. People would come and eat them. It's the same in every town I've lived in. You have so many people and everybody says, well, I don't like this, and our councilors do that. Nobody goes and votes. That's what it is. You have to go and you have to do it. People don't understand. They put when these meetings are on the websites, they put them in the papers, they cover it. There are plenty of websites that you can look at. Unfortunately, people just don't seem interested. How do you get people interested? That's hard to say. Maybe you could do small commercials on the public access, but you'd only get the people who watch that.
Chris?
It is a very difficult thing, and I'm guilty as charged, because I certainly don't attend every meeting that the town has to offer. However, there are some uniquely inventive things that I see happening. One of them is Facebook, and I'm not sure who started it, but there's the town of Londonderry on Facebook now.
Bill Cleoberry.
And I was invited to join, so I did. And I've gotten an email on everything that's happening in the town, which is really, it's great. Because I think what happens is people get very busy and they get very myopic. Oh, here's my week. Here's Monday to Friday. This is what I have to go to work. I have to take my kids. I have to do this and this and this. And then, the town meetings and those things kind of slip by the wayside. So if you're reminded of them a little bit more often, and if you know what the meetings are going to be about and what the agenda items are, there might be a little more interest. Clearly, if it's something that's near and dear to your heart, like, was it a couple, 3 weeks ago, we had the junkyard guys in here. If that's not what you're really interested in, then you're not going to show up. But if it is something of interest or something that is happening that you care about, and you know that it's coming up, then you might make a little bit more effort to attend. So maybe, adding some of those agenda items to the Facebook thing, or maybe, increasing the circulation that way might draw in a few more people.
This is where having a last name of O'Keefe after Navarro doesn't help. I agree. I mean, networking, the internet is a great thing in a lot of ways. It has its downfalls, but it has a lot of good things. And this Facebook, it's another opportunity for people to join, to be a part of the online community, which allows you to also, communicate as far as when, meetings are, talk about things. I think it's been great. I've been getting emails all the time on stuff. I mean, I keep up with it myself, but, I'm getting emails on when meetings are and show up for this, show up for that. I think generally, as far as, when it comes to the meetings during the week, I think, as you know, everybody's busy, everybody's working. I get up at 5 in the morning, I go to work, I'm down in Massachusetts. Depending on the traffic, it takes me an hour and 15 minutes to get to work. Work till 5, 6, do the commute home, another hour and a half to get home, depending on the day. And it gets very hard to make all the meetings. I think for the most part, people depend on their elected leaders to make the decisions for them. I think that they have ways of communicating through email, coming to the mic, standing up if they have issues. So I don't know if it's so much a point. I talked in length with Mike Brown for the first 2 years I was on the budget committee, and we talked about it and scratched our heads and implored people that are watching CTV 22 to come on down. So I think people have a general shyness when it comes to microphones, and some of us don't. So it kind of works out both ways, but if people have issues, they'll be in here. So
I think a lot of it has to do with the meetings are so long, getting people in here. If they've attended a meeting, it's long, they don't want to come back because they don't know how long it's going to be, or they'll wait around. I've heard that from people around town. So that's why they don't go to meetings. How to alleviate that, I don't know. Maybe a better agenda, I don't know. But the internet is a great source. I've learned a lot from the internet. And people don't come because of cable. They'd rather watch it at home because they are at home with their kids having dinner or doing things that have to be done.
It is definitely a challenge. I know when I was on the planning board, a lot of times we'd have very few people come in unless it was something very, really impacted the town or impacted a certain area. I found that people do, when it's a hot issue or something that really concerns them, they will come down. The internet, the email, that's obviously a way. Somehow we have to find a way to get people really involved. You need to find a way to instill the sense of civic duty. It's something that takes an effort. I got involved in the planning board, and it taught me a lot about how the town ran, taught me a lot about what control the board had, which isn't as much as a lot of people want to think they have. And so that, I took a break for a few years, and now I feel it's my turn to put my civic duty out there and become part of the town council.
Thank you. Third question, please. And we'll begin with you, Dan.
Yeah, my name's Harry Nace. I'd like to know what your opinion is of the job of the councilman.
I think that the job of the councilman is to be the voice of the residents that voted them in, as well as the voice that didn't. I think you have to listen to what the people want and understand that sometimes you don't know everything, and somebody out there might be contacting you who has a bit more knowledge than you do, and you have to listen to them. You have to bend a little to the ways of the residents.
I think that the job